Well, it's Tuesday, and you all know what that means. As you know, we continue with more of New Japan Pro Wrestling Best of the Super Juniors. We're getting closer and closer to the end. But, however, for this particular uh, episode, we're going to follow only one particular block, and I believe we're doing. Hold on a second. Oh, yeah, B block matches. But this is going to be a very short one. As you know, Francisco Akira had to withdraw from the tournament due to an injury, but we will see. However, certain wrestlers are now out of the tournament due to the fact that they did not have the necessary points. And then, of course, we have NXT. However, some things have gone a little crazier. Uh, you guys will be surprised, and I think there's a lot of questions that are coming up. And good thing for that, we will discuss that in our news updates. And then, but however, first things first. As you know, with MARIGOLD launch, we're going to be reviewing, of course, their much recent show, their afternoon and evening show that took place in Shinkiba. So there's a lot of good matches going to be involved in that one, so we're definitely going to be talking about it. And as for our news updates, we're going to give you guys updates what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events the promotions are going out, who's booked, what matches are set, and of course, as you know, I mentioned it just now, there's going to be some questions about what happened in NXT, and I think many of you are going to be asking those questions, so I'm going to try to answer them as best of my ability from what I heard. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world where pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also do more news updates. If I'm unable to put it on this episode, I can put it on a separate video by itself. We also do real-timing news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of pro wrestling that I will be addressing ASAP. And of course, we have the Unagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool things as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us. So click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, all introductions have set aside, I believe it's time to get this show on the road, and it's time to start with MARIGOLD. Okay, now as you know, with MARIGOLD launching, we just begun with their latest shows they've been doing. They just decided to do a 1 day, two shows event. So basically, there's an afternoon show and an evening show, and both were in the same venue in Shinkiba. Now, certain things had to be changed. Now, as you know, you may have known that Julia injured herself on the first show that they had in Corkin Hall, and certain things had to be changed because of that. But I did mention in a previous and on the last episode on her update about her injury that she just successfully will have she successfully had her surgery, and but however she will be accompanying the promotion on their tour. And of course there's various talks about her status with the WWE when she'll be making her way. That's another conversation for another time. But however, let's get started with, of course, the very first show. Now, this is the evening show, part of the Open Wars 2024. The opening wars, actually. So, first match, we have Nao Ishikawa taking on Koiki Amari. Now, this is a very interesting matchup. Now Ishikawa, as you know, has grown a very frustrated with the fact that these at-risk girls just all of a sudden showed up to try to take her spotlight. She already faced against Miku Inoue on the first day. However, she's facing another at-risk. But you would think that now Ishikawa will definitely have the advantage, knowing that even though she may have lost to one of their top wrestlers from that promotion, but however, that wasn't the case. It was in fact Koiki Amori with the twisty frog splash onto her to pick up the win, which was making this her second loss in a row so far since the launch of MARIGOLD. So really disappointing loss for her. Now our next match we have Zeta Steel versus Myla Grace. So interesting enough that they added one match that involves foreign wrestlers in the same match. But however, it probably felt necessary in some capacity. Don't forget, these two actually were part of the first show. They ended up being in a time limit draw with their respective partners. Mila with Nagisa Nozaki, and as for Myla Grace with Mai Sakurai. Basically, that match ended up in a time limit draw. But this is a match where they could right or wrong on that one. However, you probably ask yourselves who was going to win. Now, a part of me would have thought it would have been Zeta Steel, but it was Myla Grace who surprised me with the win. I'm not sure exactly what she did. It was more, to me, from looking at it, it felt more like it was a crossroads, but instead, when you have someone on your armpit like this in the inverted DDT position, you present to go this way. She went the opposite direction, so I didn't know what to call it. So I called it a modified inverted DDT, whatever. But anyway, it was effective enough for her to have her first official win in MARIGOLD. Now, our next match, we have a very bit three-way match. We have Victoria Yuzuki, Utami Hayashida, and of course, Bozilla. Now, one thing that was surprising, Bozilla, since arriving, has gained the popularity, and you probably would think, however, you would think that Utami Hayashida, who is declaring herself as the ace of MARIGOLD, and you got Yuzuki, who is the future ace, will not let someone like her try to rain on their parade. But when it comes to Bozilla, you know she's a tough individual. She's big and strong. And of course, as I said once before on a previous news update, I thought Rossy was being selfish when he thought that, Bozilla was just like Megan Bayne. She is nothing compared like Megan Bayne. I have to say, she's a whole different breed from Megan Bayne. And I have to say, I like it. And of course, she grew her popularity. But it was Bozilla with the Vader bomb onto Yuzuki to pick up her first singles win. But however, during the post match, she sent a message to Utami Ashida and the rest of the locker room. So basically, they should be afraid or be, how do I say, more concerned. I don't know. However you want to put it first. Now our next match is a tag team match. We have Chiaki and Misa Mitsui taking on Natsumi Shozuki and Miko Inoue. So I thought it was a pretty good, fun match. Not to mention, I did. Some people have given Miku high praises because she is like a force to be reckoned with. But other than that, I think it was a pretty interesting match. Chiaki, she's a strong, capable wrestler, but however, it wasn't enough. But it was, of course, Miko Inoue with the Styles Clash onto Matsui that allowed her to pick up her next win. This is her a, a pretty good win for her. Not to mention, I feel that she could be one of the next top rising stars in MARIGOLD. Now, our main event, this one is a very interesting one. We have Nagisa Nozaki and Sari taking on Mai Sakurai and Mirai. Now, don't forget, these two, Mai Sakurai and Mirai, know each other too well. They both were part of the same faction together, DDM, and now they're teaming once again. However, this has nothing to do with their past. This is about the future of MARIGOLD. as you may or may not have remembered, I mentioned that Sari has declaring herself as the ace of Marigold. Now you look at Mai Sakura and Mirai, they're like, are you effing kidding me? You're declaring yourself as the ace? So they felt that it was a direct insult, that, they feel like, why do you have to declare yourself the ace? You're not even homegrown. And I mean, it is true, but Suri has different types of opinions on when it comes. Like, I like to think that sometimes she's like a female version of Keno, but without the attitude. Keno has an attitude where he likes to, um, you know, speak his mind how he wants, but however, the way he presented is the issue, but is the trademark. But Suri is nothing like that. But she it knows what exactly she's talking about. But it's surprisingly that that she probably would have been targeted in this match, but it was Suri with the double foot stomp onto Sakurai that allowed her to pick up the win. And then of course then Suri did of course a post match promo after it. But however, Julia was disappointed that Mai Sakurai and Mirai failed to try to beat her. This was a huge disappointment. But however, Victoria Yuzuki came out and stepped up to the plate, issued a challenge towards her. Don't know when that will happen, but we do know if things work well for Julia, she will face Suri on the 13th of July. So hopefully she'll be better by then. But right now, that's how it is going to be. So I think we're now done with the afternoon show. I believe it's time to move on with our evening show. Okay, we continue on with more with Mighty Gold. We're still in day one of the opening wars in Shinkiba. This is the evening show that they had. So let's begin as always. Um, as I failed to mention on the first part of the review, um, this took place recently on a Sunday on May 26th. So as I said, it's in Shinkiba. Now, once again, Julia come out to do her little promo. She did the same thing on the afternoon show, but yeah, she's trying to get the fans riled up, get ready for a hell of a show. But let's get started with that. Now, our first match, we have Misa Matsui taking on Nao Ishikawa. Now, this is the third time right now that Nao Ishikawa has to face someone from At-Risk Girls. Now, this was the match that I possibly would like to think that put her on the shelf for the time being. But it was a pretty good match, I have to say. Nao Ishikawa, I know she's trying to find her footing, but Misa Matsui, I have to say that somehow I think these six At-Risk Girls, whatever was going on with them back in At-Risk Girls, it's like now they can unleash it. I feel like they just unleashed their power now that they're gone from At-Risk Girls. But Misa really picked up a good win with a amazing clutch, like the Trekker's clutch, the same kind of move that Zack Sabre Jr. uses, and I thought that was very ingenious of her. And I think this was a huge disappointment loss. I know that in the post match comments, now Shikawa talked about how she practiced and all this. It's like everything she has worked for is not working. So there's talks about from many fans a possibility of a potential heel. I mean, that is a possibility, but we'll just wait and see. Now, our next match, we have Myla Grace versus Mai Sakurai. Now, if you guys remember recently, these two faced each other on the opposite side during the first show in Corkin Hall. Mila was teaming with Nagisa Nozaki while Mai Sakurai teamed up with Zeta Steel. But now the circumstances have changed. Now, don't forget, of course, Myla Steel did had a good, impressive win against Zeta Steel. And now she's facing with, you can say, one of the homegrowns in Mighty Gold. And of course, Mai Sakurai was going to be using her tactics as always, the Milan, the Paradise Lock. But however, it was a face implant that finished her off to pick up her first official win in Mighty Gold. So, and of course, as a post match promo, she does her usual thing. So that's pretty much it right there. Now, our next match, we have Zeta Steel versus Miku Ano. I thought this match, as I said, was a very impressive one. Now, Miku, as I mentioned, she's a force to be reckoned with, and I did mention I felt that all these at-risk girls are in fact now unleashed their full potential now that they're no longer with the promotion, and I thought it was very impressive. But once again, Miku Ano with the Styles Clash, it finished off the Zeta Steel to give her a pretty good, impressive match. Now, our next match, of course, we do have Bozilla teaming up with Nagisa Nozaki. They take on Chiaki and Mirai. Now, if you guys remember clearly, this is a very interesting team up. Chiaki and Mirai were opponents on day one, on the first show they did back on the 20th of May. And now they're teaming up. I mean, they're both similar of powerhouses, if you noticed. But the obvious question you ask yourself by looking at this match, will that be enough to put down Bozilla? I mean, you could try to put her down, but Bozilla is not an easy wrestler to put down. I mean, with her size and strength, that is in a different thing. But however, it was of course Bozilla with a power bomb on Chiaki, and boom, it was over. But however, I have to say I give Mirai that she has balls to stand up against Bozilla, but Bozilla's like, I'm not having it, so she knocked her down. So basically, Mirai thought she's tougher. I mean, we've seen how tough Mirai can be, but you probably can. I don't want to be harsh on this or anything. I just feel like maybe there's a possibility that Mirai has finally met her matched. So we'll see what happens. I wouldn't be surprised that if she wants a one-on-one match against her. That is something we could definitely expect. Now, our next match, we have Victoria Yuzuki. She teams up with Natsumi um, Shozuki. They take on, of course, Kyuki Amori and Utami Ayashida. Now, it's interesting to see these two teams together. Now, you look at Victoria Yuzuki and Utami Ayashida. Both of them came from Stardom, but now they're homegrown MARIGOLD members, and they teaming up with former at-risk girls. And that's a very interesting combination. But the real question is, can they make it work? I feel they did a pretty good job, teaming up. But I think, in my opinion, there's like a moment where you can see there are certain teams that can coexist. I mean, we did witness Chiaki and Mirai team up. Those two are the opposite sides of their own spectrum of from the promotion wise, not like they're fighting wise. But I feel that that's how it should be. And I think it was a pretty good match. But however, in the end of this match, it was Utami Ishida that put away this match when she applied the German suplex on Yuzuki, and it was completely over. And I have to say, it was a pretty good event. Now, unfortunately, because of this, we didn't, as you know, Julia injured herself. This completely changed certain things. Even now, Ishikawa, so certain things have to change. But nonetheless, we are going to be seeing the next two shows this coming weekend in Osaka and in Matsumoto or Hasumoto. I think that's. I don't know. Somewhere I forgot the name. I mentioned it, but yes. But that's nonetheless, that's pretty much it. So right now, let's move on with our next review, and I believe it's New Japan Pro Wrestling. Okay, New Japan Pro Wrestling. We are now in day 10 of the best of the Super Juniors. We're only going to focus on B block matches. Now, as I mentioned earlier, Francesco Guerrero had to withdraw from this tournament due to an injury. Everybody else who are remaining in the tournament will get 2 points by forfeit. And of course, we saw that completely. Originally, he was supposed to face Robbie Eagles, but Robbie Eagles ended up being on commentary, which is nothing wrong. But it's great to hear his voice to get his opinions on every match in the best of the Super Juniors. Now, our first match we're going to be talking about in the B block, we have Dragon Dia versus Ninja Mac. Now, unfortunately, because of this, I do believe that Dragon Dia is completely out of the tournament, but he can pick up his first two wins somewhere down the line. I mean, I don't know how is it possible that Dragon Dia ended up being in the bottom of the barrel on this one, but he faces against Ninja Mac. Now, of course, Ninja Mac is a strong, capable wrestler. He's phenomenal. I mean, you've seen him everywhere, not just only in Noah. You've seen him in the independents such as GCW and stuff. But it was, of course, a flying, spinning kick that finished off, of course, Dragon Dia, giving him his next 2 points with the total of 8 points. So he's still much alive in this, but things can change at some point. But we will see as we progress even furthermore until we get to Dominion. Now, our next match, this is a very crucial one. One of these guys have to pick up a win or one is out. Doiki versus Kushida. Now, I did state it that when we started this tournament, Doki is my number one pick. Now, some of you may think, oh, maybe because you feel sorry for him. No, no, I think he has risen into the occasion. I mean, he has grown so much to be where he's at. You know, not to mention one of his important matches is defeating one of the best junior heavyweight competitors in New Japan, Hiromu, and I think he has grown significantly. Even if people like Sho thinks that he doesn't have a chance, you may never know. I do look at Doiki as one of the underdogs. But as Kushida, we can say as much as we want, he is one of the best that we have ever watched and seen. But he's the kind of guy we know he's been there and done that. But honestly, do we really need to see him win this tournament? I feel someone deserves it even more, and Doiki is that guy. But surprisingly, he actually did it again. He put away one of the best junior heavyweight competitors down when he applied the Doki Choiki. That was surprising. No one expected it from him. And of course, Kushida did not tap out or anything. He just passed out. So referee's decision, it was over. Just like that. And right now he gains the points of 10. So that means he is still in the game. But anything could change for it. But however, Kushida, he ended up with just 8 points. But unfortunately, from what Walker, what he said that Kushida's out. So because of this loss, he's out of the tournament. But he will finish it up until we get to the very end. Now, this is one of those matches where there's two heels, but which one do you root? Well, to be fair, I was rooting for Taiji Shimori because his opponent is Sho. Now, of course, Sho was going to use that whole Bullet Club nonsense to hope. I mean, they're according to Drilla Maloney, they're still members of Bullet Club, despite the fact they call themselves House of Torture. But why do they need to trust these guys anyway when they're facing off each other? Taiji Shimori, of course. Not to mention, he even tried to play dirty games against Sho. His tactics, it's wrong, but I felt like by watching it, it was more like, oh, I'm going to give you a taste of your own medicine, punk. But, of course, Yujiro had to show up to help. It didn't do any well, and of course, low blow by Sho onto Ishimori, but that didn't do any well. And then, of course, the Bloody Cross ending this match. So basically, he gained his next 2 points with 12, with a total of 12. However, Sho has to stay on top. But however, if he doesn't, he's officially out. That's why he has Yujiro to ensure that he gets there. But if he loses another match, I wouldn't be surprised. That's the end of him. And I'm sure he's going to cry like a little bitch. I'm sure he's doing that when he lost to Taiji Shimori. So we'll see what happens. Now, our main event, we have Drilla Maloney versus Hiromu Takahashi. Now, there is some history between these two. Drilla Maloney has faced Hiromu last year, but however, he did not come on top. But that was a different Maloney at the time. If you guys remember, before Maloney became a member of the Bullet Club War Dogs, he was part of the United Empire. So you could say he has changed a lot since then. But the real question, will that be enough? I mean, Drilla Maloney was really has changed a lot drastically. But I have to say that he put Hiromu to his limits. You would think that this would have been the end. Drilla Maloney would have been recognized as, oh my god, he defeated Hiromu. But however, Hiromu knows that none of his usual playbooks would work on him. So he tried the schoolboy, and just like that, it was over. But of course, Maloney went on a pissing range, knowing that he lost. He decided to try to dismantle Hiromu, but it was enough. But I don't think Hiromu knows it. But the real question is, will he still be in fighting shape? Because people still consider him that it's the possibility he could win the entirety of the tournament. But we'll just have to wait and see until then. So we'll see what happens. I believe the next tournament will be tournament continuing on probably is Thursday, but we'll see. But for right now, I think it's time to move on with our next and final review, NXT. Okay, NXT. As you know, we are now getting closer to their upcoming show in Las Vegas Battleground. I'm so excited, but however, the show opens up with Ava Reigns being in, of course, the ring, our general manager, and she brought in a special guest, and that is none other than Sexy Red. Now, the reasons behind that, they unveiled our brand new NXT Women's North American Championship. So that's going to be an interesting thing. However, out of the blue, Tatum Paxley shows up intending to steal the belt. But luckily, Minchin showed up to take care of business. But of course, those two ended up in the qualifying match. And that's how we ended up from here on out. But however, as you know, certain wrestlers are scouting others. And Jada Parker is one of those who scouted this particular match with Tatum Paxley and Mitchin. But however, Mitchin picked up the win with the what was it he called? Eat the feet, and it was over right from there. So she is now the fifth participant in this match, along with Jada Parker, Fallon Henley. Who else I forgot to mention? But yes, so we have that. There is one more match involving that. We'll get to that in a bit. Now, we do see the Gallows Boys, more specifically the Coffee Brothers, interacting about this, but they later were confronted by the three sole members of Metaphor, Oro Mensah, Lash Legend, and of course Jakara Jackson. Now, I did mention before, there is the possibility that it was Gallus who attacked Noam Dar. However, Gallus actually confessed, saying we had nothing to do with it. You know, so basically, they. I mean, look. Yes, they like to beat up people, but for them to confess that they had nothing to do, that's a different story. But Ora Mensa was 100% sure that it was Trick Williams, but Lash Legend doesn't believe that he had something to do with it, and she continues to defend him. But Ora Mensa insisted that it was him. But of course, we'll get to that more about it. Now, our next match, well, we could see possibly the paradise between Chase University falling apart. Riley Osborne versus Rich Holland. Now, Day Hale seems that she can trust Rich Holland because Rich looks at her as a little sister, much like everybody else does. But however, Rich Holland was about to go crazy, but it was, of course, Day Hale who tried to calm him down, tried to bring reason to him. But he did pick up the win with the Redeemer, and of course, Rich Holland was willing to squash the whole thing between him and Osborne, but it seems that it did not happen. But we did see how, of course, uh, Osborne and Duke were kind of like on the same page together, but not sure about this whole thing with Rich Holland. That's another conversation. So basically, you can see Chase U maybe falling apart from that, but we'll see about that down the line. Now, of course, we do see an interview with Kelly with the OCs, Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson, who are, as you know, on a hunt for the NXT tag team title. So they feel that our current champions, Axiom and Nathan Frazier, are ducking them. So basically, they're sending a message to them, but they are facing their next opponents. However, as soon as this whole thing, Kelly was informed that something has happened in the backstage area. We saw Ora Menza was attacked. So basically, once again, Trick Williams has been declared as suspect number one. So Lash doesn't want to believe that it was him. But however, we don't know anything exactly what is going on. Now, jumping into our next match, we have Malik Blade, Edris Enofe, along with Brinley Reese. They take on the OCs and Carl Anderson and Doc Gallows. Now, you could say that maybe there's a possibility that Edris Enofe still has that bad luck. Well, he kind of did when he accidentally hit Brinley Reese, and it was like, oh no. And once again, bad luck happened, and he ended up in a magic killer by the OCs, and then he was pinned by Anderson. However, unexpectedly, the current NXT Tag Team Champions just showed up and decided, you you think we're ducking you, so they decided to give them what they want, which is the NXT Tag Team title shots at Battleground. So the battle has been set for those titles. So we'll see where that leads us from here on out. Now, as you know, Dante Chen had an impressive victory against Lexis King. Lexis King thinks it's a fluke, so Dante Chen decided, I'll challenge you tonight, which Lexis King did not think it was going to happen, but it did. Now, before their upcoming main event going on later on tonight, Trick Williams, along with the young OG Javon Evans, were just chilling until they were, surprised by Sexy Red. However, they did ask if Sexy Red could be their, their valet for tonight, heading to their upcoming main event, and of course, she was down with it. Now, in the ring, we see Roxanne Perez, who, of course, who in fact has her own opinions about things. She feels that a general manager Ava doesn't respect her, but however, Ava kind of says she does respect her, but she doesn't like her attitude. So that's the thing. However, the obvious question does tell who is her opponent at NXT Battleground. However, this was the most shocking development we have ever witnessed, and I think all of you thought the same thing too. The opponent is none other than the TNA Knockouts World Champion, Jordan Grace. People even chanted TNA. I'm surprised that happened. But however, of course, Jordan Grace said, that she respects her as a champion, but she wants to know what she's made of, So she's like saying that she will become double champion. So this is going to be an interesting development. Now, I will talk more about that in our news updates because I think many of you are thinking the same thing as I'm thinking, the possibilities of a working relationship between two different promotions. Now, we do see our next match, Ariana Grace versus Lola Vice. Now, this happened during a backstage where, of course, Ariana Grace acting like, can we all just get along? We just need to find our inner beauty. Lola Vice has no time for this crap, so she poked the bear on this, and that's exactly what happened. And the obvious question is, did Ariana Grace should regret what she did? Well, I would say yes, because she got like a very strong spinning back fist. Now, it didn't look more like she hit her in the head. It was more like in the chest, but real hard, and it was over right from there. Now, of course, Lola Vice put out a promo calling out Shayna Baszler. Shayna Baszler comes out to try to confront her, but security stopped them both. So we'll see what happens until we get, of course, to Battleground. Now, Carly Bright has been announced as an upcoming NXT wrestler who's been on Level Up many times. And of course, she's been, giving some great props from none other than the boat, Natalia. But once again, her her being there has been caused by none other than Izzy Dame, who feels that girls like Carly Bright shouldn't be there. But however, it was Carmen Petrovic who showed up to be on her defense, and we're going to see a match, possibly a match between those two. Now, our next match, Lexis King versus Dante Chen. Now, Lexis King thinks that the match they had last week was a fluke. He wants to prove it once and for all. Now, the old saying goes, lightning doesn't strike twice. Well, this lightning actually did strike twice because Dante Chen picked up a fantastic win when he applied a crucifix. But of course, Lexis King completely lost his mind. He decided to pull the mats out and try to hurt Dante Chen. I'm sure Evan Reigns is not happy with this result, but I'm sure he'll probably find him. Now, since Shawn Spears' arrival, he's been trying to, recruit people he thinks he can help because either they lost or whatever. He tried that with Rich Holland. It looks more like he is now looking at Josh Briggs, even though he never mentioned, but there was a clip that they post of Josh Briggs. So we'll see what that leads us from here. Now, as you know, the war between the family and the no quarter catch crew rages on. Of course, they feel now that they're being targeted because they obtained something that is precious to them, which is the Heritage Cup. However, of course, they've been strategizing what to do next. But it was, of course, Tony D'Angelo that asked Luca Crusifino, who is the lawyer, to find out more about this no quarters catch clause if there's any way to beat them. So, however, whatever they're planning, it may not be good for no quarter catch crew. So we'll see. Now, our next match is the last of the qualifier of the women's North American title. We have Ren Sinclair versus Kelani Jordan. But in the commentary booth, we did see Fallon Henley. Now, remember, she used to roll with, of course, with Kelani until right now things have gone far until, Fallon Henley decided to turn against Thea Hale. But, however, it was Kelani Jordan who picked up a fantastic win with the leg split moonsault, becoming the final participant in the ladder match for a shot of the NXT the women's North American title. So we'll see what happens in Battleground. Now, Stevie Turner, who we hardly see, decided that she had a problem with the idea of Jordynne Grace getting a shot of the NXT women's title. However, Jordynne Grace showed up and decided, how about those two duke it out? She wants to put herself on the map. She wants the world to know who Jordynne Grace is. So we'll see what happens until then. Now, our last interview, we do see, of course, Wesley talk about the situation with the North American title in a three-way. Now, he feels that he doesn't know what a Joe Coffey is trying to do, But, of course, Oba Femi is trying to tell him that the title's not going with him. But Wesley is telling him, I had guys like you who told me that I could never beat them, and they were wrong. So don't be in that category. So Oba Femi can say that there is no way anybody like Wesley could defeat him. I mean, Wesley is not wrong. He had people that said that he could never beat them, but he did. So we'll go from there. Now, our main event, we have the Gallus boys, Joe and Mark Coffey, taking on Javon Evans and Trick Williams. I thought this match was great, but at one point we did see Joe Coffey intending to use the belt as a weapon, but luckily Sexy Red showed up to take it away from him, and then all of a sudden we did see, of course, Javon Evans jump high and took out Joe Coffey, but it was Mark Coffey who ended up being on the short end of the loss with the knee trick, and just like that, it was over. However, in the post-match, Last Legend wanted to confront Trick Williams if everything that happened is true. Did he have something to do with Noam Dar and, of course, Ora Mensa's attacks? Well, Trick was about to say something until the lights turned off, and all of a sudden, Ethan Page showed up and attacked Trick Williams. And, of course, Vic was about to say the one words that he was not allowed to say, and those words, of course, is AEW. Booker T was able to stop it in time. I'm sure Vic would have been fine for that, but however, I wouldn't say I wouldn't give praises to Book, but I feel Book did the right thing, tried to help not to say those words, because people would say AEW is a bad word in some ways. But it was later revealed by Ethan Page. He confessed he was the one who attacked Noam Dar and Oro Mensa. So now it's been make sense. So basically, he was the one who did it. You ask yourselves, why would he do it? Well, he's all ego. It's who he is. But we'll see what happens next week. But the real question is, I ask myself, where does Noam Dar and, of course, Ora Mensa mix of this? Why didn't they see this one coming? But more about Ethan Page will be explained on our news update. So let's get started with that right now. Okay, so welcome to our news update. So this is what we have for all of you for today. Now let's begin with the promotion, starting with the GCW stuff. As you know, in Atlantic City on June 1st, this coming Saturday, there is a opening spot for the 8th entrant of the Tournament of Survival. Now they haven't announced yet who will be involved, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's a wrestler that we did not expect coming. But we'll just wait and see until that day. Now, the following day, for Cage of Survival 3 at Atlantic City, General Manager Matt Cardona is going to be there. And of course, Mike Bailey has been announced as well. And then, of course, we have on the 16th of June for the I Can't Feel My Face on in Phoenix, Arizona, it was announced Nick Gage will be in action to take on Fuego del Sol. Well, I like to say this, Fuego. I like you, bro, but you're toast. Rest in peace. But anyway, Nick Gage, as you know, will be in action again on the 18th of July for the Believe in Me show in Louisville, Kentucky. He teams up with Too Tough Tony to take on the Rejects, Bentley Reed, and John Wayne Murdoch. Now, also on the GCW updates, we do have that Danhausen has been announced will be participating in two shows. One, Lights Out on the 14th of June in Denver, and then a month later in SoHi on the 19th of July in St. Louis. Now, more interesting information is coming around. Um, Black Label Pro has announced for their upcoming event, Family Reunion, on the 7th of June. Rachel Armstrong will team up with Jordan Grace to take on Maggie Lee and Shayna McKenzie. Now, this next one right here, this match that was announced, was advertised, but however, I have a distinct feeling it's going to change. Minutes after the events of NXT, we saw Ethan Page actually showed up. But however, it was announced by Prestige Wrestling that Ethan Page will be in action on July 12th in Prestige Wrestling for the Combat Clash PDX to take on Shelton Benjamin. I don't know what's going on, but if he's signed with WWE, there is the possibility he will be pulled out. So that is obvious. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case, but we will wait and see until Prestige Wrestling makes the announcement what they're going to do. Now, as you know, we have the collaboration between West Coast Pro, Deadlock Pro Wrestling, and Prestige for the Untouchable events on the 20th of July. They announced that Adam Priest will be there as well. And then finally, Kitsune Women's Wrestling has announced for their upcoming event in August, Yabai. They announced Xia Li, who will be making her first official appearance after being released from WWE, will be there. Heidi Howitzer, Dami Exo, and of course, Nagisa Nozaki. Now for our developments. Adam Copeland, as you know, there was been cause of concern after his match in Double or Nothing against Malachi Black. Well, unfortunately, he has fractured his tibia, so basically it requires his surgery. However, the question we ask ourselves, what's going to happen with the TNT title? We know that he has to defend it, but I wouldn't be surprised if he relinquishes it and there's going to be a tournament to determine the next champion. That is something we could see down the road, but we'll find out. Fightful Selects has reported that Tegan Nox will be making her return to NXT to have a NXT run there. I felt like they should have given her this a long time ago, but I felt like they dropped the ball on this. But it's great that she's going to get a run. Hopefully she does better. I mean, many of us would like to see her that. Now, I don't know how reliable is this, but this caught my attention. Cultaholic Wrestling, a news outlet based out of the UK, revealed that Will Ospreay wants AEW to hire Scott D'Amore. I'm like, holy crap! I didn't expect that. I'm sure Will Ospreay does have a great relationship with Scott D'Amore, but the real question is, will Scott D'Amore accept it? I don't know, because right now we know he's been busy recently, but we'll see what happens. As you know, with the appearance of Jordan Grace at NXT, Jonathan Gresham actually tweeted this, and he's saying this. I was told that he said that his wife. I was told that you were going to the grocery store. So basically, he had no clue, or he's just playing along. But we'll see. Interesting developments. It was told that Jake Hager His contract was expired with AEW, so he did not resign. And I know there's a lot of people that were giving heavy thoughts about this. They're saying that AEW dropped the ball. Some say that maybe AEW wasn't for him. Who knows what the real reason is? But I just hope, I wish nothing for the best for him and wherever he goes. Now, the real question many of you have been probably asking yourself is TNA and WWE. Is there a working relationship? Now, this was reported by PW Insiders saying that not only is it collaboration, but they would like to have representation of NXT in TNA, and of course, TNA. Kind of like swapping wrestlers in, or trying to send them like to do developmental stuff in in TNA, that sort of thing. That's something that was discussed in the past prior, before things have changed. Now, as you know, Ethan Page appeared in NXT. It's now been revealed that he is officially signed with the promotion. Now, they kept this one under wraps. Now, there were reports that he was at the PC Center last week with, of course, Under the Cover of Darkness. So no one knew he was there. People were surprised that this was not even leaked. But, yeah, so we'll see about that. Now, Mirai was talked with Tokyo Sports about protecting and leading MARIGOLD. Because she feels like this thing with Suri, she feels that she doesn't deserve to be part of that. She thinks that, she's not the ace or savior. She's not even homegrown. That's what's going on. Now, some interesting things come around with Momo Watanabe recently. One of them, two of those were about Starlight Kid. Let me pull that up real quick. Uh, Now, one of the things that she talked about Starlight Kid, Momo Watanabe, was why did Starlight Kid was expelled from Odotai. This is what she had to say. I never thought the kid and I were doing things the same intentions. We did have every desired aim for the belt together, but she hardly ever used weapons. She's only posts cute pictures of herself on social media, so we didn't need her anymore. So what is that saying? Like, Starlight Kid didn't fully embrace the Oda Tai way. It's no secret that Oda Tai has used weapons, but it makes sense. And of course, her posting photo of her on social media, that is no surprise because there is one person that actually did all that, and that was Saki Kashima. So I think that's something that they cannot have in their ranks. So that makes sense. But however, she did spoke about her courted by various units. Right now, she seems to be on a high demand from other units, but everyone is just calling out to her. I don't think they really want her to join them. So Momo doesn't think that any of these units want her. I mean, I have to disagree. There are those that would definitely want her. Momo wants her, but Stars doesn't. They don't want her back. I know Tam would love nothing more to have Starlight Kid to join. But I'm not sure how. I'm sure that the other members of Cosmic Angels will have a bit of not like a fist about it, but more question: will this be best? We know that, of course, Mina Shirakawa and Michael will love nothing more than have her. I think Momo just thinks that none of them deserve to have her, but that's who she is. But recently, she even talked about Queen's Quest. Now, if you guys remember in their Kyoto event, Sayaka Mitani is asking her to rejoin Queen's Quest. But this is what she has to say. Personally, I have no idea what she felt or why she thought that. Well, no comment. Isn't it just that they're confused because they're in a critical situation with Utami gone? Is Queen Quest able to communicate with each other? I have to say that is a good valid question. They haven't stepped up to become a leader, but I don't know what Kamitani is thinking about having her rejoin. I mean, the problem is Momo made her choice already, like long time ago, but we'll see about that. Now, Fightful Selects reports that Arn Anderson's contract with AEW will expire by the end of this month. But this is what he had to say but he thanks Tony Khan for everything. I just wanted to say thank you, Tony. Believe it or not, on On a double shot day, on the 31st is my last day of my contract. I just want to say thank you. I appreciate everything that goes to everyone that works there, all my friends, Tony Schiavone, JR, and all those guys, all the talent, the Malenko, obviously, Billy Gunn, all the crew, Jerry Lynn, everybody was great. So just want to say thank you. See you down the road. So yep. So basically, he will be gone. I'm sure many people are going to say certain things about that. Now, Meiko Satomura, as you know, she has a bit of a relationship with, has a bit of a employment with WWE. As you know, she is in fact the owner and promoter of Sendai Girls, and she had this to say: Jordan Grace appears in WWE NXT, coming to Japan on July 16th for in Korakuen Hall. So basically, she is excited for Jordan Grace, not only because she'll be making an appearance in NXT, she'll be also making an appearance in Sendai Girl. So that is something we definitely could see. Now, Rossy Ogawa once again had some things to say. One of them is this one. He says like, why is of course MARIGOLD restricted with interacting with other promotions? This is what he had to say. This time because there was a novelty of being the inaugural event. Fans from both Stardom and At Risk Girls came, but I don't know if that will stick. The thing I'm most afraid of is that people will get tired of us as a promotion. If it's better if we don't allow interaction. I will add to your brand power. Marigo will continue to move forward. So basically, he understands that one way or the other, fans will get tired. I mean, would you guys get tired of Marigo? Me, I'm not. I don't stop loving watching the Yoshi wrestling. That's obvious to me. But yes. Oh, now that he finally, and then this later, he was asked about what will happen when Julia leaves Marigold, and this is what he said. Of course, when I started Stardom, I thought this was going to be my last. I thought I had that the know-how, but where some things didn't go, Julia's name has grown. But I also have to think about what will happen after it's gone, although it's not decided when that will be. So he knows that Julia is on the verge of leaving after, when she is now officially signed with, goes to WWE. That is something that he's well aware, but I don't. But he felt like, okay, he knew that Stardom will be his last promotion, but even though his know-how has helped him, we don't know where he'll go from here. But right now, I think he is planning out what's going to be next right after Julia leaves, and I think that's going to be a very tough thing to do. So we'll see where that goes. But as of right now, I think we are done with our news updates and our reviews. Let's just call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, as you may know, I will not be doing another episode until after Thursday because, as you may or may not know, I am heading to LA for AEW Dynamite. So, as you know, this is like the aftermath after Double or Nothing. So, if any of my subscribers are from the LA area and plan to attend AEW, feel free to say hi and bump into me. I'll be there somewhere. And of course, if I have any subscribers who are from the SoCal area who are attending, of course, um, the LA show in the Kia form by AEW, feel free to say hi too. So I'll be there, and I'll be releasing the next DWZ wrestling, the DWZ at the wrestling event, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. So as of right now, I will see you on the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So goodbye, and have a nice day.